So let us look at the syllabus. So in paper 1, it starts with administrative theory. The first topic is introduction, meaning, scope and significance of public administration. So here we are looking at what is public administration and why should we study public administration? What is administration? What is organization? And what are the boundaries of the discipline of public administration? And what is the significance of the discipline of public administration? Why it is important? Then Wilson's vision of a public administration. Woodrow Wilson, we call him as the father of public administration. We call him as the father of public administration. So what is his contribution? Why do we call him the father of public administration? What is the reason why we call Wilson as the father of public administration? Next, evaluation of the discipline in its present status. How public administration has evolved for a period of time. That means public administration had come into existence in 1887, and till now, how the discipline had changed over a period of time. What are the changes that have taken place in the discipline, and what are the ways in which the discipline had grown from 1887 till the present times, till 2020. That is what we will be saying as part of evaluation of the discipline and its present status. Then new public administration. These are all the developments within the discipline of public administration. New public administration, the public choice approach, new public administration, public choice approach. This new public administration had come into existence in 1960s, and then public choice approach, it had come into existence in late 1970s. Then challenges of liberalization, privatization and globalization. This is a topic which is there in both the paper 1 and Indian administration also. What are the challenges for us of this LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization? How it has changed over a period of time, and how public administration has transformed itself due to liberalization, privatization and globalization. Then the concept of good governance and its applications. These are all the recent developments in public administration. What is good governance and what are the applications? NPM, new public management. What is this new public management? So the second topic of our syllabus, administrative thought. This is the topic which is what we call the crux of the discipline of public administration. Here we will be discussing all the important thinkers and theories, starting with scientific management theory and scientific management movement. So in scientific management theory and scientific management movement, you will be talking about Frederick Taylor, one of the most important thinkers of public administration. Then you will be talking about classical theory, the thinkers including Max Weber and other thinkers, Henry Fayol and other thinkers, classical theory. Max Weber's bureaucratic model, its critic and post-Weberian developments. Max Weber's bureaucratic theory of organization. It is one of the most important theories as far as the discipline of public administration is concerned. Almost all the theories of our nation are somewhere related to Weberian bureaucracy. Its critique and post-Weberian developments. What is the criticism of Weber and what are the post-Weberian developments also? Then dynamic administration. Mary Parker Foley, MP Foley, one of the important thinkers of public administration. Dynamic administration. Then Human Relations School, Elton Moyo and others. Elton Moyo, again one of the very significant thinkers. He basically talked about the dynamics of human relationships. Next, functions of the executive. Joseph Bernard, he had come out with a behavioral theory of our nation, wherein he had spoken about how the dynamics of human behavior can influence the functioning of public administration. Then we have Simon's decision-making theory, Herbert Simon's decision-making theory. Again, Simon is one of the most important thinkers of public administration. He had come out with his decision-making theory, which is a theory in economics, but also a very important theory in public administration. Then we have participative management. There are three thinkers who had spoken about participative management: Francis Likert, Chris Argyris, and Douglas McGregor. Francis Likert, a very important thinker who had come out with his own definition of participative management. So is Chris Argyris and Douglas McGregor. And this is what we say, this administrative thought is the crux of public administration, wherein we'll be discussing all those thinkers. Along with that, we have another important topic related to thinkers in administrative behavior. Here you will be talking about processes and techniques of decision making, communication, morale, motivation, content, process and contemporary, theories of leadership, traditional and modern. Again, here we will be discussing lots of thinkers related to decision making, communication, motivation and leadership. What we must remember is that while discussing all these thinkers and theories, we should always relate it to them to Indian administration, their concepts and their theories. The next chapter is organizations, theories, systems and contingency theory, structure and forms, ministries and departments, corporations, companies, boards and commissions, ad hocs and advisory bodies, headquarters, field relationship, regulatory authorities, public-private partnerships. Some of them we will be doing as part of Indian administration, some of them as part of this theory paper 1. In organizations we have systems theory, contingency theory, structure and forms, ministries and departments. So these systems and contingency theory, structure and forms will be doing as part of paper 1. The rest of them will be doing as part of Indian administration. Next, accountability and control. Concept of accountability and control: legislative, executive, judicial control over administration, citizen administration, role of media, interest groups, volunteer organizations, civil society, theory and charters, RTI and social audit. All these things we will be normally doing as part of Indian administration. All these, because all of them are related to Indian administration. Next one is administrative law. Meaning, scope and significance, dicey and administrative law, delegate legislation, administrative tribunals. So here we will be talking about why this administrative law is important. What is this administrative law? What is the scope of administrative law? A.V. Dicey, one of the important thinkers of administrative law, what he has to say about administrative law. Then delegated legislation and administrative tribunals. These administrative tribunals normally we will be doing as part of Indian administration. Next topic is comparative public administration. Historical and sociological factors affecting administrative systems. Administration and politics in different countries. Status of CPA, ecology and administration, risks and models and their critique. A very, very important topic from examination point of view, CPA. As part of CPA, we will be discussing about how this comparative public administration had come into existence, and what is this comparative public administration, and why it is important to study, and then what are the different models in comparative public administration. Then we'll be giving more importance to Frederick's, one of the important thinkers of comparative public administration, Rixian models and their critique. Then development dynamics. Development dynamics. The concept of development, changing profile of development administration, anti-development thesis, bureaucracy in development, state versus market debate, impact of liberalization on administration in developing countries, women in development, self-help group movement. So here we will be looking at what is this concept of development, and all these things are again in our Indian administration also. Concept of development, what is this development, and how this development administration has changed over a period of time from 1950s till now. Then the recent developments like anti-development thesis. What is this anti-development thesis? Then bureaucracy and development. This bureaucracy and development is there in Indian administration also. State versus market debate. What is the role of the state in the age of liberalization and globalization? And what is the impact of liberalization on administration, especially in developing countries? These topics are there in Indian administration as well as in your polity governance paper also. Women in development, self-help group movement. This is also part of Indian administration. Then this public policy, models of policy making and their critique, processes of conceptualization, planning, implementation, monitoring, evaluation, review, and their limitations, state theories and public policy formulation. So this public policy, one of the important topics of our in a paper 1, perhaps the most important topic, because almost all the questions can be related to public policy. Almost every question that is asked by UPSC can be related to public policy. So what are public policies? What are the features of public policies? What are the important characteristics of public policies? How public policies are formulated? We talk about different models of public policy formulation. Similarly, different models of public policy implementation, and also their evaluation. What are the problems of process of conceptualization, planning, implementation, monitoring, evaluation, and review? What are the limitations of public policies, state theories, and public policy formulation? So these are the things which we shall be discussing as part of paper 1. And rest of all the topics normally we will discuss as part of Indian administration, because all of them are related to Indian administration. Personal administration we will be discussing as part of Indian administration. Techniques of administrative improvement, again part of Indian administration. Financial administration also we will be discussing as part of Indian administration. So this is how we shall be looking at the syllabus in the next, say, one and a half months or so. So let us start with the first topic of our syllabus. Meaning, scope, and significance of public administration. So here we are looking at these things. First of all, what is administration? For that we should know what is organization. Then what are the differences between organization, administration, and management? Then what is public administration? Then what are the important features of public administration? Then what is the difference between public administration and private administration? Then what is the significance of public administration? Finally, what is the scope of public administration? These are the things which we shall be looking at. So, if we have to understand what is public administration, we should know what is administration. And to know what is administration, we must have a clear-cut idea about what is an organization. So, we will have to start from the basics. Organization. So, first of all, why do these organizations are created? An organization can be the smallest of organizations like family. Family is the smallest of organizations. The largest of organizations, United Nations. So, why these organizations are created in the first place? Why do we need organizations? So, what we say is that these organizations are required because human beings. What is the difference between human beings and other animals in the nature? What is the difference between human beings and other animals? What difference between human beings and other animals? Yes, other animals, they don't have to live in groups. They don't have to, depend on others for their survival. Whereas human beings are incapable of fulfilling all their needs by themselves. As human beings, we are incapable of fulfilling all our needs by ourselves. That is the reason why we need to be part of an organization. If we are hungry, we cannot produce our own food. If we want education, we cannot do it by ourselves. If we have any problem with our health, we cannot, if you have a problem with our health, we cannot cure our health problems. So, at the end of the day, it is our inability to satisfy all our needs by ourselves, which force us to become part of organizations. That is how organizations had come into existence. If you go back to the early part of our civilization, if you go back to the earliest part of our civilization, people always lived in groups. They always lived in groups. Why? Because they had to protect themselves from the nature, and they had to protect themselves from other animals also. From nature as well as other animals also. That is the reason why from early part of civilization, people are forced to live together. They are forced to live together. Over a period of time, this has become the norm, because you cannot live all alone. It is a case of a pig or a dog or a donkey or any other animal. They don't have to live together because they don't require the help of others for their own survival. Whereas as human beings, we always need the help of others for our own survival. which has really forced us to, create organizations, to form organizations. Whether it is a family, whether it is a state, whether it is a country or a religion, anything, you name it, any organization is created because of the inability of human beings. It is because of the inability of human beings to satisfy all their needs by themselves. It is their inability to satisfy their needs by themselves. That is where it has become more problematic. Then we know the reason why we had to become part of an organization. Then the question that comes up is, what is an organization? What is an organization? The question that comes up is, what is an organization? How do we define an organization? So what we say is that when two or more people come together, in a voluntary manner, to fulfill or satisfy their common objectives, through coordination. Then we say that organizations are formed. When two or more people coming together to satisfy their common objectives through coordination. That is when we say that organizations are created. What is an organization? As we have said, two or more people coming together in a voluntary manner to fulfill their common objectives through coordination. That is what we say organization. So when you look at this definition of organization, we can see that it has many important features. Let us try to understand the definition of this organization with the features of organization. Let us understand the definition of organization with the features of organization. As we have said, for any organization, the most important that is required is formulation of common objectives. First thing is formulation of common objectives. So the first and foremost thing that is needed for any organization is formulation of common objectives. That means no organization can survive when it has no common objectives. For all the organizations to succeed, all the members of organization must have similar objectives. What do we mean by that? For example, you take the case of the government. All those people who are working within the government must work towards welfare of people. Similarly, those who are working in private organizations, all those people must look at only the objective of profit maximization. Take the case of a family. Take the case of family. You can have a family only when all the members of a family, you can have family only when all the members of family are having same objectives. On the other hand, if every member of family has a different different objectives, has a different motives, then it results in breakdown of family. It results in breakdown of family. If the husband thinks in his about himself only, if the wife thinks about herself only, if the children think about themselves only, there cannot be any family. For any organization to survive, the most important thing that is required is all the members must have common objectives. We say that these coalition governments, they have not succeeded. What is the reason why coalition governments have not succeeded? Why? Because the members of coalition governments have different objectives. You have in a coalition government, say 6-7 parties are there. Each political party has its own objective. They only think about their own interest. They don't think about the overall interest of the government as a whole. That is the reason why coalition governments have been a failure. So any organization, you name it, any organization, the public organizations, private organizations, then NGOs, charitable organizations, religious institutions, they can succeed only when they have common objectives. Here, you take the case of Naxalites, terrorists, they also can succeed only when they have common objectives. Whatever be the organization, legal, illegal, any organization, it can succeed only when the members have common objectives. So the most important activity that is performed in an organization is all the members of organization should decide what they want from the organization. So how do they decide about these common objectives? How do they decide about their common objectives? What they do is they would come out with their individual motives, and these individual motives would be combined together to come out with common objectives. They would aggregate their individual motives. Whenever you are going to become part of an organization, you will have to decide what you are doing, what you want from the organization. Combine all the members of individual motives, then it will become the common objectives. For example, what is the objective of a family? Family provides financial support to its members as well as psychological support also to its members. That is the reason why you will want to be part of a family. They will give you psychological support. They will give you financial support. So that is the reason why members of family, they have to sacrifice for others also, because you expect others also to sacrifice for you. That is what we say common objectives. Now, once the common objectives are formed, then what should the organizations do? Once common objectives are formed, what should the organizations do? After forming the common objectives, then you have to decide how to realize the objectives. How to realize the objectives. That is what you have to decide. For this, you must come out with what is called planning. The second important activity that is performed in an organization is planning. After common objectives, the next important one is planning. So what is this planning? Second important activity is planning. And why do we require planning? We need planning because the resources are limited. We need planning because the resources are limited and the objectives are unlimited. You take the case of any organization, the resources are limited, objectives are unlimited. That is the reason why you require planning. You need planning because resources are limited and objectives to be achieved are unlimited. For example, you take the case of a private organization. The objective is to maximize profits. And is there any limit on the profits? No. Similarly, government, the objective is to maximize the welfare of people. And can there be any limit to the welfare of people? Obviously not. The objectives are always unlimited, whereas the resources are limited. This planning really helps us to ensure optimum utilization of resources. And the planning helps us to ensure optimum utilization of resources so that we can realize maximum number of objectives also. Planning ensures optimum utilization of resources so that we can realize maximum objectives also. So the next important activity performed in an organization is what is called next important activity that is performed is planning. After planning, the next activity after planning, the next important activity performed in an organization is division of work. This is what we say, division of work. After planning, the next important activity performed in an organization is division of work. So what is this division of work? Why this division of work? No single person, howsoever efficient he may be, can complete all the tasks, all the activities. We need division of work because it is impossible for a single person to complete all the tasks. It is almost impossible for a single person to complete all the tasks, all the activities. It is not at all possible for a single person to complete all the activities of organization. That is the reason why we need division of work. If a single person is doing all activities, then you don't require any division of work. He will do everything. But it is not possible. Why? Because even if you are capable, can you be present at 10 different places at the same time? Obviously not. This division of work is necessary because it is not possible for the same person to be present at 10 different places at the same time and do the work simultaneously. That is the reason why the next important activity that is performed in organizations is division of work. You have to divide the work of organization into different activities. With the division of work, the next important activity is specialization. With the division of work comes specialization. The next important activity is specialization. Next one is what you call specialization. So what is this specialization? When you perform the same task again and again, what happens? You will develop expertise in that particular task, and you will become what you call a specialist. When you perform the same task, you will develop expertise, you will gain experience, and then you will become a specialist. Why this specialization is required? This specialization is needed to make organizations efficient. This specialization is required to make organizations efficient. So, as part of division of work and specialization, what we are doing? As part of division of work and specialization, what we are doing? We are creating various departments within the organization. For example, in private organizations, you have, as part of division of work and specialization, you have production department. Then in sales and advertising, then marketing, then accounts and audit. Like this, you will be deciding the specialization on the basis of division of work. You are creating these departments. The objective here is to make organizations efficient. This is the next important activity performed in an organization. Then after that, the next important activity performed in an organization is creating hierarchy within organizations. Creating hierarchy within organizations. The next important activity is creating hierarchies within organizations. Within organizations. So what is hierarchy and why this hierarchy is required? This hierarchy essentially explains, the relationship between the superior and the subordinate. It explains the relationship between the superior and the subordinate within organizations. What is this relationship? Superior has the authority to give orders. Superior has the authority to give orders, whereas subordinate has the responsibility to implement orders. Superior has the authority to give orders and subordinate has the responsibility to implement the orders. Subordinate has the responsibility to implement orders. Why this hierarchy is required in organizations? This is required to ensure discipline within organization. This is required to ensure discipline within organizations. This is also required to ensure coordination. To ensure coordination. This is also required to resolve disputes between the people working in the organization. It is required to resolve disputes between the people working in the organization. That is why we say that no organization can survive without a hierarchy. So the next step, as we have said, is you must create hierarchy within the organizations. Once you create the departments, within the department you have to create hierarchy. After that, the next step in the organization is recruitment. Recruitment. Once you create hierarchy levels, once you decide hierarchy levels, then you have to recruit people to organization. You have to recruit people to organizations. This recruitment may be mostly done on the basis of merit. You will invite applications, then you will conduct the examinations, then you will recruit people. For example, if you are working in the engineering department, you will say that the person who is applying must have engineering degree. And if it is for higher level positions, you will say that the person must have at least 15 years of experience. Like this, you will recruit. Then after recruiting, next step in organization is you have to provide training to people also. After recruitment, you must provide training also to people working within the organization, those who are recruited. Then next important activity performed in an organization is related to finances. Finances. It is related to finances. As we say, there is no organization that can work without finances. That's why we say that finances are the lifeblood of any organization. No nation can survive without finances. It is not even possible to imagine any organization without finances. Whether it is public organization, private organization, charitable organization, religious institutions, NGOs, you name it, all these organizations need finances. You must manage your finances efficiently. Even the families also break down when there is no proper financial management. So that is the reason why the next important activity is how to manage these finances. How to ensure that you are able to minimize your expenses and maximize your revenues. For private organizations, it is all about profit maximization. For public organizations, it is about welfare maximization. For both of them, what is required is finances. That is the reason why budgets become very, very important also. Next, after finances, the next important activity performed in an organization is a performance evaluation. You have recruited the people, you have allocated finances, you have given them training, then they start working. Then finally you have to do the last activity is performance evaluation. This performance evaluation will be done in terms of the objectives you have set for yourself. At the beginning of the organization, you have come out with certain objectives. And then once all these activities are completed, then what do you do? Whether the objectives are achieved or not. That is what we say performance evaluation. This is the last step in organizational activities. And you will see whether the objectives have been achieved or not. And this performance evaluation again will help you to come out with fresh objectives for the coming year. Now this performance evaluation will be helping you to come out with fresh objectives for the coming year. This is what we call entire thing as cyclical process, cyclical activity. We call it as a cyclical activity. cyclical and continuous activity. Cyclical and continuous activity. Performance evaluation. So this is what we say, cyclical and continuous activity, performance evaluation. So these are all what we call the activities performed in an organization. These are all activities performed in an organization. Starting with formulation of objectives, planning, division of work, specialization, creating hierarchy levels, recruiting people, providing training to them, allocation of finances, and finally performance evaluation. All these activities combined together we call it as administration. Here all these activities combined together we call it as administration. Aggregation of all these activities is known as administration. We call it as administration. So what we are saying here, organization is a physical structure. Organization is a physical structure. Organization is a physical structure which provides information. Organization is a physical structure which provides information about the various hierarchical levels whereas administration is the aggregation of all activities. Aggregation, AGGREGATAVON, of all activities performed by an organization. Performed by an organization. By an organization. So this is what we say about organization and administration. For example, Government of India is an organization. It is a physical structure. At the top you have the President who is the head of the state, and below President, Vice President, and then below Vice President, Prime Minister, who is the head of the government. When President is the nominal executive and Prime Minister is the real executive. And the hierarchy is very much clear here. At the top is the President. President is the custodian of our Constitution, and he is the head of the state. And then Prime Minister is the real executive. But in terms of the hierarchy, who comes first? President or Prime Minister? President only. Then only you will have the Prime Minister. So that is what we say about organization. And below Prime Minister, you have Cabinet Ministers. Below Cabinet Ministers, you have Ministers of State independent charge. Below Ministers of State independent charge, you have Ministers of State. And this is about the political executive. And when it comes to bureaucracy, the head is the cabinet secretary, below him secretaries, and then below him additional secretaries, special secretaries. This is what we say organization. It is a physical structure which provides information about different hierarchical levels. Whereas all the activities performed by the government of India, we call them as administration. So what are the activities performed by the government of India? Formulation of objectives. What is the objective of the government? The objective of the government is to maximize welfare of people. The government should always work for welfare of people. Then how to maximize welfare of people? With all these things. All these things. So this is what we say administration. Administration includes all activities performed by an organization. And what is the definition we have given to an organization? When two or more people come together in a voluntary manner to formulate, to realize their common objectives through coordination. You need the people to work together. That is what we say administration. That is what we say organization. And why organizations are created? Organizations are created because human beings are not capable of fulfilling all their needs by themselves. When you become part of the system, a farmer will be producing the food. He will be buying the food. You cannot produce a food by yourself. A doctor will be helping you to overcome your health problems. A teacher will be providing you education. A judge will be providing justice. A police will be giving security. So that is why we require organizations. In the animal kingdom, rest of the animal kingdom, there is nothing like organization because they don't have to depend on others. You have in dogs or pigs or other animals. Do they have any division of labor? Do they have any specialization? Do you have any dog engineers and dog doctors? When a dog has a problem, can it approach a dog doctor? No, they don't. Similarly, can they construct houses for themselves, dogs? They don't. And they don't have to also because they live all alone. That is where we need organizations. And these organizations demand administration. Administration does not only mean what the government does. Whatever that happens within the household is also administration. Within the household, in patriarchal societies, it is the male member of the family, that is the father, who will be earning money. And it is the mother who will be taking care of the household. That is what we say division of work and coordination. That is what we say an organization also. The hierarchy is also there, division of work is there, coordination is there. They will plan the things, how to spend the money, finances. Everything will be there also. So this is what we say about organization as well as administration. So I think today we can stop it here for today because most of the students did not turn up. Those students who went on holidays did not come back. So we can start from Monday onwards rest of the other topics. We'll start from Monday. Right. Monday onwards we will continue with the rest of the syllabus. Obviously, you'll get the notes. Yeah. You'll get the notes. You'll get handwritten notes. Right.